Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Game House. As esports expands, as the cash flows, as the leagues grow, there seems to be an ongoing push to make gaming like the other traditional sports, football, baseball, basketball, golf, things like that, where you can walk into a casino in certain states and you walk into a casino, walk up to the sports book and say that you have the Cardinals versus the Cubs one day, and you think that you know enough and you have enough data that you can place a wager on not only who's going to win, but even perhaps even perhaps total runs scored, total hits, and things like that. Well, I've seen different groups of people in different apps try this concept when it comes to gaming, and they have failed miserably as far as I'm concerned, for one simple reason. Gaming is fragmented. Gaming is so very fragmented. There are so many different games and so many different competitive leagues that it is insanely hard to get a large enough audience together in one spot that wants to bet on a specific event. You could have DreamHack that has 4 to 8 different games going on at once. You might be able to do Amiibo, which has Street Fighter, Smash, Tekken, also has Mortal Kombat and Blaze Blue. However, gamers in general don't gamble the same way that everyone else has gambled for the past 100, 200 years. And so I have with me today a founder and CEO of an app who allows people to play daily fantasy events for baseball, for football, for golf, for other sports, and he's decided to get into gaming. And it's really interesting when he and I were talking before we started recording here, and so his thought process to me is really fascinating. The way he's going to approach this whole concept is really interesting to me. So I have with me of ThriveFantasy. He is the founder and CEO of ThriveFantasy. Founder and CEO of ThriveFantasy. His name is Adam Weinstein. Adam, thank you very much for making time for me today. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Yes, so pretty much you're spot on. We are, it's called ThriveFantasy. It's a new fantasy sports and now esports platform for prop bets. So instead of drafting a lineup of one quarterback, one running back, we give you a list of 10 over-unders, and you pick 5 out of 10 and go up against other users. So very easy, very simple, more of a pick up and play type of mentality. And now we are offering 3 different esports titles and hopefully going to have some more coming up in the pipeline very shortly.
Very, very nice. Now, just a little clarification for people who don't understand the lingo of sports betting. When you're betting the over-under, so in football, usually over-under means total points. So if you have the Seahawks playing the Cowboys, you're gonna bet on the combined score. So if Seattle wins 24-17, what the total points right there is 41. So somebody who has knowledge of the teams and knowledge of the league and is very versed in sports betting will set the over under. So if you can bet that you can bet the combined score will go over 41 or under 41, and in some situations you can actually wager the exact total too. So just a short clarification there. So Adam, sort of talk me through why you decided that you have this app, you're doing well with golf, you're doing well with football, you're doing well with baseball. What made you decide? What's the story What's the series of events? What's the thought process that made you decide to get into to 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 uh, to 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 esports?
Sure. Yes. So I'll even go more into depth on what a prop bet is. So it's
Sure.
really a player proposition is a certain athlete with a certain statistic. So let's go with NFL. So Tom Brady, will he go for over or under 300 passing yards today? So a very easy binary proposition. It's either yes, he will go over 300, or no, he will not. So uh, definitely fantasy football is the most engaging on our app. So in the next couple of months, we're very excited for NFL season. But with esports, we just saw a massive opportunity in the sense of if we're getting these stats, if we're getting these data feeds from these bigger data feed providers, that if we're the only ones doing peer-to-peer prop bets, there's a huge market. Obviously, everybody listening knows how big the market opportunity and growth is in the esports landscape. So definitely think that if we're doing Counter-Strike, we're doing League of Legends, and we're doing Dota. Hopefully Fortnite and Overwatch are coming up shortly, but we offer lists of over under kills or over under deaths or over under headshots for certain athletes, and it's just a really engaging and fun way to experience these matches and big tournaments. We live update every 30 seconds, so while you're streaming on Twitch or these other content providers, we're actually live updating on our app. So it's just a fun experience. We haven't seen it in the marketplace before, and we thought that this could really scale and go pretty quickly if we did it right.
Okay, so one of the hallmarks, one of the pillars of wagering on traditional sports is information. So if you want to find out if you have the Patriots versus the Jets, and you want to find out if if one of the players on the offensive line for the Jets is he going to play or not. So one of the requirements of the NFL is that all teams have to submit their injury report. I think it's by Thursday, so that way the status of all the players is confirmed well in advance, and you have that information so that if you want to bet a certain way, that you can do that, and you have all the available information. However, with gaming, because the game publishers own the game, they own all the broadcast rights, all the data, and everything about that game. So it sort of restricts the access to information that people who are traditional sport bet traditional sports would get. So for me, that seemed like a problem. So what you're saying is that you chose prop bets in a daily fantasy format over the traditional thought process. So could you sort of talk me through that one?
Sure. So I do want to push back a little. There are a lot of content websites now that do have all these stats.
Okay. Okay.
And they tell you all these players, their kill death ratios, their headshot ratios, their percentages on assists. So that information's definitely out there. It's free. It's public information. And
Okay.
what's really nice is there are even more stats coming out on every day. So people are being like, we want this information. We need this information in order to build a better ecosystem and landscape for sports betting and esports betting. Listen, like in Asia, this has already been a massive market. Billions of dollars are being wagered on these bigger matches and tournaments. So the fact that in the US, it's not even close to that number, we're going to be there. We're going to get there. And obviously with PASPA being overturned last May, with sports betting now becoming legal state by state,
Right.
this is going to be an even bigger opportunity in the next couple of years. So as long as you're willing to do the research and put in the hours in order to get the best information, it's definitely out there for you.
Okay. So you chose prop bets, and specifically over unders for your for your app. So it seems like to me that to get people to gain users, one of the things you have to have when you make an app is that you have to make it fun. And so it for people who are fans of a certain game, it seems like to me that you really chose an access point for each person, or for the fans of each game, that you could get as many people in the door as fast as possible. So when you were building this app and building this idea out for esports versus football, what were some of the talk to me about the mindset shift that you had to have there. I mean, was it the same thinking as somebody who places prop bets on football, or is it actually something different for you?
Yeah, so the demographic is drastically different, for sure, and that's definitely something that we're looking into. We by no means know the esports landscape nearly as well as we do the traditional sports, so that's what we need everybody's help on. But with that said, we definitely think our game concept, our game flow is extremely entertaining and fun. So again, I can't stress enough how fun it is while you're watching these matches on Twitch, that you're seeing, hey, this guy just killed this other guy, and then you see it live update from 1 kill to 2 kills on our app. So it's just a really cool idea that we've never seen before, and it's very simple. It's we tell you again, pick out of these 10 guys. These are the top tier athletes in esports, and we're telling you to just pick 5 out of those 10. The Liquids, the Cloud9s, the Phases of the world. Those are the matches that you're going to want to watch and engage with, and those are the players that we're asking you about. So as long as you give us a try, we do have free-to-play to play. So if you want to get your feet wet with our free-to-play, definitely come check us out and tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. We're definitely always evolving, trying to optimize the game concept.
Very nice, and I hope people understand what you're doing here, because by making this a mobile app, what you're doing is, and I've said this before to many people in many situations, is you're competing for attention. And so you have to be quick, you have to be nimble, you have to provide something that not only provides some sort of an instant gratification, but then it encourages you to keep on coming back more and more and more. And because people live on their phones, I think that you guys have a really interesting concept when it comes to prop bets. So sort of explain the difference between a prop bet and somebody who wagers on the outcome of a game.
Yeah, so just what we're doing is specific player props. So for instance, with this guy over under 50 kills in a CSGO tournament, it doesn't matter if his team wins or loses. The outcome of that game doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he has 100 deaths or 0 deaths. If we ask you about his kills, that's the specific and only stat that you need to worry about. So very different experience. So you're not rooting for a team as much as you're rooting for a player. And more so, if you take the under, you're rooting against that player. You're rooting that the guy doesn't get 50 kills. So it's just a really fun, different situation that no one's really seen before in the esports ecosystem.
Nice. So this is a question I ask all business owners and all people with ideas. What was the one moment for you and your team? Because I mean, this isn't something that you just started. This app has been around for a couple of years, and you're now branching into this new space. What was the one thing that you looked at and then you realized, wow, there's a huge opportunity here, and we have the app to do it?
Sure, yes. So we launched in April of 2018 for MLB, NBA, and NFL. We just got into PGA a couple months ago, as well as CSGO 2 months ago, League about a month and a half ago, and then Dota about a month ago. And what really is everything is these sports data feed providers. If they are up to date, if they're live updating these contests and matches, then we absolutely want to be able to offer our user base as many titles as possible. So, again, as these publishers are allowing these content and data feeds to live update, we just know that the market's out there for it to be disrupted, and people are really going to want to stay on our app and keep playing because it's really fun, and no other app is doing what we're doing. So we just knew that if the technology got to where it is today, and it's always expanding, then we were always willing and wanting to get into this esports space.
Nice. Okay. Okay. And so with every app, with every opportunity, with every business and idea, there are always hurdles and problems to overcome. So when you first when you first got into gaming, and you built out that version of the app, what were some problems that you faced when it comes to the problems you faced when it came to the esports side of things versus football?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So two things. What's really sometimes inconvenient and frustrating on our end is when these matches are best of 3 or best of 5. So when you're making over-under props for a best of 5 series, you have to be very understanding of who the teams are, because if one team wins 3 games to 0, a lot of these props are probably going to go under, as opposed to if it goes to a fifth match, a lot of them are going to go over. So it's definitely always a knowledge understanding of what we need to make the lines in order to make them competitive. So that's definitely a big problem that we're always facing and learning as we go. And then another thing is there's so many matches, so many different leagues and all that. So we really just want to make sure that we're giving the users the ones that they want to watch and stream. So that's always a learning curve. And a lot of these matches that we would love to offer just don't live update. Our data feed content providers are not updating these stats. So that's always frustrating. But again, we're really excited with what we've built. A lot of these guys, a lot of these esports pioneers are like, wow, this is really cool. Once you can get this out to the mass market, even partner with 1 or 2 franchises, this thing can absolutely blow up.
Yeah, and I think it's important to talk about those 2 problems that you had. So the second one I'll take first. So there's so many matches, everything is fragmented. So you not only have to look at how popular an event is, you also have to look at the access to the information. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand about the internet. It's not this free flowing, well designed thing. It's what it basically is pockets of information that people try to connect, and you sometimes have to invent a new programming language just to make things fit together. So for you, not only on the technical end, but then also on the business end, you need to decide what works and what doesn't for your app. So that can be extremely intensive, extremely labor intensive for you, right?
Exactly right. Yeah. So what's nice is our data feeds do let us know prior to matches if they will be live updating and having that information for us. So that definitely does help. But again, there are, if we could, we would be offering a ton more opportunities and offerings to our user base that we cannot at this time. But it is what it is. You roll with the punches, and you go from there.
Right, and so that's an excellent way to put it. So now going back to your first problem, or your first your first problem that you had to overcome. I want to make sure people understand this. When so when you set the line for something, so you have Cloud9 versus FaZe, and you're setting the line on whether it's kills for a certain player. It isn't a fancy 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 computer program that you guys develop. It's a live person that has to do the research and watch trends, and then compare play styles and characters and champions and maps. So there's a lot of behind the scenes study that you guys have to do. That somebody who's a football fan would also be doing. If you have the Cowboys versus the 49ers, and Cowboys 49ers, and you want to do an over under on sacks, somebody has to go in to look at the injury reports on the offensive line and the defensive line and play styles and things like that. So it's really interesting that you're already putting in the work that 90% of people will never understand. All they will do is they will look at their phone and say, "Oh, so Cloud9 FaZe and the over under is 8 or whatever," and they don't understand the massive amounts of study that you guys have to do, right?
Right. Yeah, and for traditional sports, these sports books come out with over/under lines pretty early. So if we need any information, we go to one of them, and then we can see what the actual line is. But from our knowledge, no one's really doing that in esports, so it's really ad hoc. We're learning as we go with these situations. But it's user versus user. So if we make a quote unquote bad line, it doesn't affect us. We don't mind. And moreover, if we do make a bad line, it's a easy free square for our user base. So definitely take advantage of those situations and go up against other users and win some money. We have a lot of money to be had, a lot of money to be made. Over $650,000 has been won on our app since inception. So
nice.
We're not just giving away $10. There's serious money out there.
Yes, there is some serious money out there, and I don't think that people understand the difference between what you guys are doing with your app and a large scale casino. Because when they set a line, they not only set a line on an over under or other style bets, they watch the patterns of the bets, and they can change the line as they see the way people are betting a certain way. So now, so I know that you guys, when it comes to the esports space, you're extremely new, and it is user to user. So your guys' liability isn't as large as a casino is, because if a casino gets a line wrong, they could lose $5 million, like that.
Sure.
But right, so for you, it's user versus user, and your liability is, to a certain extent, sort of capped. So do you have any stories of some? Do you have any stories of some very early prop bets that didn't really do very well for you?
Yeah, I always go back to this Sunday Night Baseball reference. It was Yankees versus Mets, and we had Masahiro Tanaka as one of our props, and for some reason we had the line at 3.5 strikeouts, which for anyone who follows baseball, that's extraordinarily low.
Yep.
And on Twitter, we kind of got reamed a new one for how bad that line was. And lo and behold, Tanaka got shelled and only had 2 strikeouts. So over 85% of people were on the over, and it ended up coming on the under. So even if you make a bad line, the players still have to play the game. So it's never over till it's over. But it happens all the time. And as you alluded to, our liability is very limited because we are not the house. We're not taking your bets. You're going up against other guys. So even out of those 5 props, if you get 1 or 2 wrong, that doesn't mean you necessarily lost. There are people who've cashed with getting 3 out of 5 props right on a regular basis. So you don't have to be perfect on our app in order to be successful, which a lot of these daily fantasy sports apps cannot say the same.
Right, and so that's a great segue right there, because I want to make sure people understand what your betting process is. It's so if I had the app, I would get on and I would say, I bet $10 Cloud9 phase, and I would want to bet you the same amount of money, $10, $5, $20, on an over under. If I win, I get your $20 sent to me, $20 sent to me, and that, and then the amount takes a percentage of that. All right.
Yes, we take 10 to 12% off the top of every contest. So if I were to play you in a heads up, we both put in $10. I make my list of 5 props. You make your list of 5 props. Whoever does the best wins. The winner gets $18, and then we take $2 off the top.
Right, exactly. So that's also important to know, because you're betting with somebody else. It's not like I'm sending the owners of the app $20 and then it comes back that way. So I'm betting peer to peer. So whether it's $1, $5, $20, $200, it's one of
That's
those. Right. It's definitely face to face, and so that makes it easier for you, I guess, from a business standpoint. You don't have to go to each individual state, Louisiana, Georgia, Wyoming, Washington, and you don't have to go to individual states to get to be certified as a I'm trying to say it. You don't have to go to individual states and get certified as a booker, right?
Right. We're not a casino operator or sports book by any means. So we are live in 32 states. Several of the big states we are operating in. So you can see on our website or app what states we are live in. So yeah, it's very easy, very simple. We accept PayPal, which is very nice for users. It took us a long time to be approved by them.
Right.
But
yes.
we geolocate, we comply and regulate with all the needed circumstances in order to be considered daily fantasy. So
right.
We're definitely under that umbrella.
Right, and that process, and that's a process that takes a while. You have to convince PayPal that you're not a casino, which takes a while. Believe me, that there's a long story there, and I'm not going to get into it here because that would be a really detailed conversation that we don't want to have. Now, speaking of what you said earlier about the Asian market and esports betting being so huge. Now, it seems like to me, the way your app is set up, that you're specifically designed to sort of counter a lot of the scandals that seem to happen in Korea and China when it comes to Korean China when it comes to players, organizations being accused of fixing matches, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we obviously can't help if a match is fixed.
Right.
That's not under our control,
right,
or are under our regulation. But with that said, if something comes to our eye and we see that it's very mistaken or clearly fixed, we'll definitely refund our players and users their money if they were to lose. So we haven't hit that situation yet. We're only doing the massive tournaments,
right,
the Dream Hacks of the world, the LCSs, the LECs. So haven't run into that problem, but we'll definitely take care of our customers if that were to arise.
Very nice. So going forward now, next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, as you move forward into esports and you decide which titles you want, which titles you don't want, sort of talk me through your roadmap?
So we're definitely reaching out to all the publishers to see if they're willing to give us their data feeds. A lot of them are very hesitant right now because it is so early, but we are partnering hopefully with a couple of content providers who do their own tournaments. So we'll be able to have exclusive props for these certain tournaments. Hopefully, maybe Fortnite in the near future. That would be absolutely massive.
Right.
That opportunity, but listen, we want to put any type of title out there that we can get our data feeds and our hands on those. So the sky's the limit. If the EAs of the world, if the Nintendos of the world, Activisions are willing to give us those titles, we're going to make those as quickly as possible.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, and for people who listen, it's not just as simple as you do something on the app. This isn't like I said earlier. This isn't football or baseball where you have access to the data and you can pretty much do whatever you want, because nobody really owns football. Nobody owns baseball. However, in gaming, like I said, the publishers own all the rights to the games, and if you're going to be doing something with their game, especially at the scale that you're trying to get to, then you have to go through their I guess their whole process, right?
Yeah, and we clearly can get the stats from these publishers, like it is out there, but we want to live update it
Right.
for the experience. That's really the main priority, is to make an amazing UX for everybody. So we clearly could get the stats after the game and live update it, but that's not what we're looking to do. We want to live update in game every 30 seconds, every 45 seconds. So while you're watching FIFA, Madden, or Smash on Twitch, you're seeing on your phone on Thrive Fantasy that we're live updating these players' stats. And I'm telling everybody out there listening, when you're watching CSGO or League and you have a contest open in Thrive and you're seeing it live updating, it's absolutely amazing. It's so much fun.
And that goes back, I love what you said there about having an amazing UX. So user experience in an app is vital to success, because there's 40 trillion apps out there, and anybody with a brain and a little bit of cash can make one. What sets good apps apart from great apps, I mean, if you want to have a great app that people love, that people consistently come back to over and over and over again, you have to have a good user experience. The interface has to be nice, it has to flow the right way. I keep hearing from people who are mobile designers that you should be within swipes or touches from anything on the app at any given time, and that takes a lot of work. That takes a lot of design knowledge. And so what you're shooting for when it comes to a business development standpoint and a product development standpoint, and a lot of people will never think of this because they just think, oh, it's just some app, but there's a lot of deep thinking that goes in. What you guys are doing is really awesome. I like the way you're thinking from a business standpoint. I'm sure the people who are working with you and working for you when it comes to the investment standpoint are thrilled, because you guys are stepping into a new space and you're doing it the right way. So you have really awesome ideas. I really, it just sounds awesome to me right now. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that. Yeah, and we definitely didn't cut any corners when it came to the tech. Had 11 full-time developers on it for over 16 months.
Wow.
So we were on iOS, Android, and web. So
Yep.
Yeah, download our app. You're going to be pretty amazed. The UI is beautiful. The user interface, at least that's what I believe. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Well,
it's pretty nice.
It is, and it isn't like you're biased or anything, right?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, Adam, thanks for making time for me today. Everybody check out ThriveFantasy.com. ThriveFantasy.com. You can download it on iOS or Android. Check out the Twitter feed at ThriveFantasy. Adam, thanks for making time for me today. As we shut this down, is there anything else that you'd like to bring up? Any super secret projects that if I ask you about, that you're not going to give me any any details on?
Well, I'm pretty much an open book, so definitely reach out to us, engage with us on social. We're much more active on Twitter than any other social media platform, but hit us up. We definitely want to make this community engaged. We listen to all our customers. We'll get back to you in a very promptly manner. So tell us what you like, what you don't like, where we should be going, and happy to listen to anybody and everybody. So I appreciate the time again, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Very much. Hey, like I said, everybody check out ThriveFantasy.com at Thrive Fantasy on Twitter. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in today. Thank you very much for listening. If you like what we're doing here at the Game Haus, right, like we're doing here at the Game Haus, check us out on YouTube and Twitter, and always like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.